Here we go. Canada coming up with a little 4-on-4 action, and then we'll be on the power play. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Hughes in the box. Jack Hughes for Team USA.
High sticking? That wasn't high.
Looks like it.
It wasn't high sticking.
No?
No, I watched the replay and he just grabbed his chin.
All right, here we go, Canada. Come on now. Diablo girl with those Canadian flags. Let's go. Can't even keep this chat still. 4-on-4 for 48 seconds. Let's go, Team Canada. USA wins the draw and will work it up out of their zone slowly. Quinn Hughes with his brother sitting in the box for Team USA. Passed ahead to Eichel. Eichel works it into the offensive zone. Makes a move on one, takes a shot, goes wide of the net, and Quinn Hughes gets it back at the blue line, but lets it ride out into the neutral zone and will reset.
Dad, I think we low-key should have went to this game.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Here's a chance. McDavid, left side. Stops at the circle. Waits for reinforcements. Plays it back outside the zone. Celebrini walks in. Shoots, and it just misses the top right corner of the goal. Hits the backboard. Celebrini back again. Rao tries to pass it to McJesus, and it's broken up by Team USA. Sent down the ice, and the 4-on-4 is over. Team Canada on the power play for 1 minute and 6 seconds longer. McKinnon with speed. Drops it off for McDavid. Now back to McKinnon. He works it down the right. Centering pass coming. No. Goes behind the net. Skates all the way back to the left circle. McKinnon down low. Now return to McKinnon at the left circle. Walks in, centering pass, shot by Celebrini, goes wide. Here's a chance for US as they get it cleared to the line, but not out. McCarr over to the right for McJesus. McJesus to McCarr. McCarr to McKinnon. Goes cross ice, and it does not reach Celebrini as it's broken up by Team USA. Back to the point for McCarr. 31 seconds left in the power play. 1 minute, 52 to go in this hockey game. Sent out, rebound. Oh my God, Celebrini just misses the chance to give the Canadians the lead with under 2 minutes to go. USA trying to clear. It's kept in at the blue line by McCarr. McCarr over to McKinnon. Left circle. Holds onto it. Looks for the pass. Into the middle. Shot by Celebrini wide again. Holy Mackinac. There's the kill as it's cleared down the ice. My God, what a crazy, crazy kill and turn of events that was. 1 minute and 17 seconds left. 1-1 USA and Canada. Are we heading to overtime, ladies and gentlemen? Tammy Jackson, go. Canada, go. Canada trying to bring it into the zone, gets stopped by the US. Harley, back at it. Pick your drink up, man. What you doing?
Okay.
Dude, stop putting it by your feet and then moving your feet. Put it up on the table. There's a table here. We live in America. We have nice things. We have tables to put our drinks on, bro. Jesus. All right. Somebody said we were in China on the chat earlier tonight. They're like, a USA from China? No. I'm in the US, but I'm Canadian. Not Chinese. Here we go. Devin Tays, 33 seconds to go. Brings it back into his own zone. Plays it up the left side. It's picked up there in the middle and now returned to Tays. He lays it off for Bennett. Bennett plays it back to the point. Tom Wilson at the point, sends it in, and it's backhanded out by Team USA with 16 seconds to go. Canada has to regroup. Doughty sends it into the zone. Chasing after it there is Brad Marchand. He gets a stick on it, and the US will clear it down the ice with 5 seconds to go. They say no icing, and we're heading to overtime in this one. Overtime, here we go. Let us know who you think will score in overtime. McKinnon. Be neutral. Bro, I ain't being neutral. I'm going for Canada all day long. Esport North Star. No such thing as be neutral. Go, Canada, go. All day long. All day long. Cheers, Canada. Nice comeback. Street Wilson. What? Hey, there it is. Rooting for Canada from Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia. Sam, let's go all the way from Nova Scotia. Lots of big chances as it was literally cleared off the line by McAvoy and his glove. Did he glove that? You can't glove the puck in the crease. That should be a penalty shot. So, there you go. Canada getting screwed again, but hey.
Hey, I feel like you not need that though.
Be neutral, he says to Toronto Sports Insider. Amen, brother. Amen.
Oh yeah, Honda. That's what I want my dirt bike from. I told you that a million times.
All right, we're heading to overtime. I need to catch my breath and make another cocktail. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Listening from Cuba, go, Rick, go. Thanks for being here all the way from Cuba. Awesome game it is. All right, intermission. We'll be back in a few. You know it, Maddie. You know it. Germany in the house. Okay, good stuff. Why do you live in the United States and not Canada? Vincent. So my dad decided that he wanted warmer weather when he retired. And so I had no choice in the matter. He retired down to Florida. And yeah, here I am. Now met my wife, TSI Allison, down in Florida. And now moved.
Look, I was okay with Orlando Bloom. But Justin Trudeau!
Russell Brand isn't holding back his thoughts on ex-wife Katy Perry's new romance. The British comedian took a swipe at Katy's beau Justin Trudeau, revealing on stage at a Turning Point USA event in Phoenix on December 18th that he preferred her longtime fiancé Orlando Bloom.
Look, Katy Perry, I was married to her. I love her still, and I'm glad that her mum's in the room to hear me say this, but look, I was okay with Orlando Bloom. But Justin Trudeau! Come on, man! Don't put me in a category with that guy! That globalist stooge!
The right-wing pundit was married to Katy from 2010 to 2012 and infamously texted her to ask for a divorce. The pop star revealed to Vogue after their split was final. The moment was also captured in her Katy Perry Part of Me documentary, depicting the singer crying and gathering herself backstage just before a massive tour concert. She and Orlando met at a Golden Globes party a few years later and were engaged from 2019 until announcing their split earlier this year. They share a 5-year-old daughter, Daisy Dove. Katy and the former Canadian Prime Minister first sparked dating reports over the summer and went Instagram official in December, with Katy sharing loved-up photos from a recent trip to Japan. Russell married wife Laura in 2017, and they share 2 daughters. In April, the 50-year-old was charged in the UK with 5 counts of sexual assault of multiple women dating back 25 years. He has denied all the allegations and pleaded not guilty.
Now, the liberals are way behind in the polls until Trump did this. He kind of saved your ass.
We need to start relying on China. This is not a world where human rights matter.
Yeah.
This is not a world where democracy matters. Like, America's really great. And I think Winston Churchill was right when he said, America does the right thing after trying everything else first.
Check this out. Let's go. Christia, do you agree with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney? Is that who you ran against in the primary?
It is. He's also my son's godfather.
Oh, wow.
That must have been an interesting campaign.
We were friendly.
Canadian campaigns are so different.
They're so nice.
They don't get.
They're nice.
They really are.
Look, guys, we have a democracy, and we're not having a fight inside our country right now about how to count the votes. So I'd say, please don't diss Canada.
Absolutely.
We're
I'm
like
not dissing
hanging in
them.
there.
You have nice campaigns. We don't.
I mean, I've been in Canada when elections were going on and saw on the local TV the attack ads, and I just laughed out loud.
Yeah.
I mean, they're what they consider an attack. We wouldn't.
No.
So anyway, do you agree that he said, Prime Minister Mark Carney said that we're witnessing a rupture in the world order? He gave a very powerful speech at Davos a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure Trump didn't like that, but it seemed to be saying to a lot of the world, as you said before, we can't rely on the United States, and we seem to be driving China, into the other countries, rather, into
Driving
the
us
arms
into
of China.
yeah.
I mean, there was an old song, I want to be around to pick up the pieces when somebody breaks your heart. Well, we broke a lot of hearts, and China's like, I'm going to pick up the pieces.
I think it was a brilliant speech. I think it was really, really important. And I think it's really sad And, you know, I would say to you influential Americans, to Americans here, we really like you. Like, Canadians like America.
Yeah.
We do actually.
Oh, I know.
And we respect
And why
you.
wouldn't you?
And
We're still fucking awesome.
Actually, you are awesome.
Yeah.
And you have done so much as a country.
Yes.
And the world, especially the world's democracies, will be really much poorer if you guys don't get your act together. Because a world in which we need to start relying on China, this is not a world where human rights matter.
Yeah.
This is not a world where democracy matters. And like, I feel kind of weird saying this, not being an American, but like, America's really great. And I think Winston Churchill was right when he said, America does the right thing after trying everything else first. So could you please, like, finish trying the other stuff and start doing the right thing?
All right, we'll end it there. Thank you, Krista. Thank you, people.
Okay. Canada's broken because we're stupid.
Canadian federal politics are absurd.
I want to first of all say something about Western civilization. Kids, you don't know what the fuck it is. And really, they think Western means white and white means bad. Kids, first of all, everything bad that white people did, people of color did it too. The Japanese before World War II and during World War II and Genghis Khan, and I could go on and on. You know, the left is very down on America, very down on the West. And it's ironic because the West has also given us everything that makes your life good here. Don't ask Billie Eilish or Chappell Roan about what the Western values are, because they'll just say it's about oppression. Right. But it's not about oppression. It's about rule of law. It's about respect for minorities. It's about democracy. It's about scientific inquiry. These are all good things that came from the Western world. I wish that schools would teach that again.
The Epstein files are detonating across the globe. Prince Andrew fell, and police are searching his home. So who's next? Because if you were anywhere near Epstein or Maxwell or just your name, you're in the blast zone. Larry Summers, who worked for Obama and Clinton, just resigned from Harvard. Obama's top lawyer, Kathy Rumler, resigned from Goldman. We looked at her emails. There's hundreds of them. She called Epstein Uncle Jeffrey and gave him advice on how to get better press. And now another Obama official, his Homeland Security advisor, Lisa Monaco, showing up in the files. Bill Gates suddenly cancels a major speech overseas. Just hours he was set to go on stage. Emails reveal meetings Gates had with Epstein after his conviction for soliciting a minor for prostitution. And one of Epstein's notes claimed Bill got an STD and needed help to hide it from his wife after contact with Russian girls. Gates denies that happened. Thomas Pritzker, JB's cousin, was a frequent guest at Epstein's townhouse. He just stepped down from his role as Hyatt Hotel's executive chairman. Bard College is now reviewing its president's ties to Epstein. Leon Botstein's name apparently appears over 2,000 times in the documents. American Express just put out a statement saying they regretted having Epstein as a client after he used their plastic to book travel for the girls. CNN just reported that New Age guru Deepak Chopra might be in a little bit of trouble.
2017, Epstein asked Chopra, "Did you find me a cute Israeli?" Chopra responded, "Universe is human construct. Cute girls are aware when they make noises." He later added, "God is a construct. Cute girls are real." And in one 2016 exchange that began with a link to a TED Talk about the end of physics, Chopra wrote to Epstein, "Statistics is like a girl in a bikini. What she reveals is obvious. What she conceals is more interesting." Chopra was recently approached at the airport and repeatedly asked about his relationship with Epstein and whether he has any regrets.
It'll all come to light. It'll all come to light. Look, is there anything that you can tell me here and now to at least start to put this to bed? No misconduct.
Hillary knows the heat's on, but like usual, she's on cleanup duty.
We have no links. We have a very clear record that we've been willing to talk about, which my husband has said. He took some rides on the airplane for his charitable work. I don't recall ever meeting him.
Did you ever meet Ghislaine
fact,
Maxwell?
I did on a few occasions, and thousands of people go to the Clinton Global Initiative. So it to me is not something that is really at the heart of what this matter is about.
Ghislaine wasn't just another guest at the Clinton Global Initiative. She had a, quote, complimentary access pass, which you usually get after getting the green light personally from either Bill or Hillary. And Ghislaine was even an honored guest in 2013, years after sexual abuse allegations had circulated. And don't forget, Ghislaine was at Chelsea's wedding. Even Stephanopoulos is being looked at again for having dinner at Epstein's apartment after he got out of prison. Plus, Lex Wessner told Congress under oath that Epstein told him he worked with Bezos, the Rothschild family, and Google. Now, New Mexico is reopening its investigation into Epstein's ranch after a newly released email claims 2 foreign girls were buried there, apparently dying of strangulation during rough fetish sex. The FBI was even warned Epstein could be destroying evidence with an incinerator after he built a suspicious barn on the property with a chimney. But this is also about national security. New files show Epstein was offered a chance to buy buildings owned by the Pentagon. In 2016, he was offered to invest in a massive complex right next to the Pentagon, a site used exclusively for Department of Defense operations, labeled in records as a mission-critical asset. The guy doing the pitching? A go-between for both Epstein and Prince Andrew. No deal was ever finalized, but why was Epstein getting a pocket listing for one of the most sensitive national security sites in the country? Other files show Epstein may have compromised U.S. customs officers in the Virgin Islands, prompting another criminal investigation, apparently offering them food, advice, musical gigs. How did this guy gain this type of access, and why was he operating anywhere near the national security apparatus at all?
They're talking about hunting humans, and this one right here is specifically talking about hunting blacks. It's very peculiar because there's no sender on it. There's not even a redaction. They've taken the whole sender name off, and it's very mysterious, if you will. But it says the snipe hunt is over. Moon crickets in field bag. And moon crickets is an old racial slur for blacks, for slaves that would work overnight. And then he says, guess what? And then he drops a hard R right here. That's Epstein here.
And people say, oh, well, what's the big deal? We have even the BBC admitting these big globalist groups and organizations in Bosnian war zones doing these hunting things. This comes up over and over again, but give us the latest.
So yes, this has been going on for a long time. That it's always been talked about that these hunts happen very similar to like a private ranch where you'd have turkeys running around and they're all enclosed in a place where they can't escape. So they would take humans that maybe didn't want to be raped anymore and we're starting to fight, and then they'd say, all right, we're going to send you out in the field and we'll have our last little fun with you. They called it the most dangerous game. And then we have another email here from the Rothschild, Ariane de Rothschild. It says, thrilling hunt. Amazing old male. Amazing hunt. Bankers should be careful. So
they're probably killing some globalists that made them mad. They'll also, and again, this is in so many cultures, so much documents. This always comes out, and it's over and over and over and over and over again. And we have witnesses saying they were part of hunts. They'll usually kill one member of the hunt that's being hunted at Zorro Ranch. This just came out with Bohemian Grove. This just comes out over and over again.
Sometimes they would be on grounds at these different beautiful mansions where there were woods, and they were hunting parties. So we would be dressed up in certain costumes or naked or something and sent to hide and then be hunted. There would always be a child or maybe more than one unalived at the end of this. And actually, these people, I have seen cooked babies brought out on platters. They do eat human flesh. They do drink human blood. And sometimes the rituals would also be outdoors. So there would be like a gang violation ritual with a bonfire where I was drugged so that I was fully conscious but couldn't move my body at all, even my mouth. I couldn't even scream.
Epstein files are full of the establishment globalists, so-called elites, discussing not just eating humans and drinking blood and sex slaves being delivered and satanic rituals, but hunting of humans. New Epstein files talk about deranged elites hunting and killing humans, including groups of blacks referred to as moon crickets. Man, I love how I'm learning new racist terms all the time from these files. I mean, what the hell is that? I'm told, you know what a moon cricket is? Look online. A moon cricket. Special Saturday Live report. By the way, they hate us all, folks. New Epstein files talk about deranged elites hunting and killing humans, including groups of blacks referred to as moon crickets, and how they killed all the moon crickets. Howard Lutnick, rocked after his company, has been caught betting against Trump's tariffs. Unbelievable. So that's all coming up, in fact, right now. And I'm going to move quick here so we can get to it all. Yeah, there's a bunch of this stuff. And you've got all these witnesses telling the FBI decades ago and years ago about being hunted at Zorro Ranch, hunted at Epstein Island. And then you've got Kathy O'Brien talking about it. And then you've got UN reports. And when the UN has been caught hunting, setting up human hunting parties decades ago, my first film, America Destroyed by Design, made in 96, I made it, released it in early 97. That's 29 years ago. We talk about the UN and show news articles back then, expected that the corporate news was better. They were still controlled, but they got some truth out about the UN having these hunting parties for humans in Africa. Well, look at this. BBC, Italy investigates claims of tourists paying to shoot civilians in Bosnia in the 1990s. It's not claims. It's all well documented. Here's a satanic ritual abuse who I think is very credible, followed her for years. Max Lowen says she witnessed children being used as party favors and hunted down in the woods by elites who were dressed in costumes resembling scenes from the movie Eyes Wide Shut. She says children were killed, cooked, and eaten. And that she was also gang raped at bonfires. Let's stop there. They don't put it on PBS. They don't put it in Gladiator. They don't put it on any of this. When the Romans first rose and were Stoics for their first 100 years, if you cheated on your wife, they'd execute you. But as they got more and more corrupt in the next 500 years, by the end of it, for a party for a marriage, they'd have 3 or 4 groups of gladiators kill each other there at the dinner party in the garden, in the backyard. Look up history. Like wealthy Parisian, wealthy Romans had gladiatorial events at their weddings or when family died, at the funeral. People fight that. But if you read deeper, they would also have these palatial plantations. They wore plantations with German and French and other slaves at them, and British slaves, and some Africans and others they would haul in there. They don't mean like European slaves, look it up. They would hunt humans there as well. And most cultures at some point have hunting of humans that go on. The Aztecs didn't just sacrifice people at temples, or the Mayans, the culture they came out of. They also had a lot of rituals where they would turn people loose and then chase them. So this is a human thing that goes on and happens. We have to admit it's in the anthropology, it's in the archaeology, it's in the history. Understand it. And of course, Kathy O'Brien's talked about this forever. And it's always the same story. They'd be hunting 5 or 6 kids, and then they would usually only kill 1 or 2 of them, and they gang rape the rest at a bonfire. But they would all wear masks, so they don't have to feel insecure with other elites looking at them while they just go crazy. This is how they let their hair down. So this is who runs your medicine. This is who runs your media. This is who runs all this. This is their attitude. All right? And so let's go to this clip of Max Lowen. Here it is.
Some of the rituals, it's called SRA. I don't want to say the actual words. Involved taking me out to different parties Some were in very beautiful mansions, so they would be kind of black tie balls, if you ever saw Eyes Wide Shut, that kind of thing, except what they didn't show in the movie is the children that were brought in as party favors. Sometimes they would be on grounds at these different beautiful mansions where there were woods, and they were hunting parties, so we would be dressed up in certain costumes or naked or something and sent to hide and then be hunted. There would always be a child or maybe more than one unalived at the end of this. And actually, these people, I have seen cooked babies brought out on platters. They do eat human flesh. They do drink human blood. And sometimes the rituals would also be outdoors. So there would be like a gang violation ritual with a bonfire where I was drugged so that I was fully conscious but couldn't move my body at all, even my mouth. I couldn't even scream.
So these emails in the Epstein docs are showing that they're talking about hunting humans. And this one right here is specifically talking about hunting blacks. It's very peculiar because there's no sender on it. There's not even a redaction. They've taken the whole sender name off, and it's very mysterious, if you will. But it says the snipe hunt is over. Moon crickets in field bag. And moon crickets is an old racial slur for blacks, for slaves that would work overnight. And then he says, guess what? There, and then he drops a hard R right here. That's Epstein here.
And people say, oh, well, what's the big deal? We have even the BBC admitting these big globalist groups and organizations in Bosnian war zones doing these hunting things. This comes up over and over again, but give us the latest.
So yes, this has been going on for a long time. That it's always been talked about that these hunts happen very similar to like a private ranch where you'd have turkeys running around and they're all enclosed in a place where they can't escape. So they would take humans that maybe didn't want to be raped anymore and we're starting to fight, and then they'd say, all right, we're going to send you out in the field and we'll have our last little fun with you. They called it the most dangerous game. And then we have another email here from the Rothschild, Arian de Rothschild. It says, thrilling hunt. Amazing old male. Amazing hunt. Bankers should be careful. So
they're probably killing some globalists that made them mad. They'll also, and again, this is in so many cultures, so much documents. This always comes out, and it's over and over and over and over and over again. And we have witnesses saying they were part of hunts. They'll usually kill one member of the hunt that's being hunted. It's over a ranch. This just came out with Bohemian Grove. This just comes out over and over again.
And all the movies that are pre-programming it, kind of normalizing it, making it this luxurious thing. You got the Hunger Games, got a movie called The Hunt.
And the Romans did that during their decline. They did hunts of humans. So the issue here is, it's not like there's one email saying this. It's all this stuff over and over again. Read that again. Because I remember articles in the 1999-2000, even in major British newspapers and French news, where they said there were Rothschild hunting parties killing people. People would escape in places like Burgundy, France.
Yeah, so this is the Rothschild that Les Wexner said recommended Epstein. So we're looking at the top of the pyramid here.
Epstein becomes the head of the Trial Commission under David Rockefeller, his stand-in. Then he becomes the main Rothschild representative.
Yes.
He's the Rothschild representative.
Yes. So their relationship goes back quite some time. So they're very, familiar with each other to be able to talk about hunting humans in their emails and basically laughing about it.
It shows extreme arrogance.
Extreme arrogance. Then we have another email here that seems to be coded with the same Rothschild that says, I have your cereal, can talk tonight around 2200. So serial seems to be another coded word, and cereal actually in Latin is the word for sacrifice. It's I believe sacrimonious or sacrificious, and the old world, the Romans and the Greeks, they would have sacrifices built around their crops and their cereal crops, their grains. So, every year when they would go to have their crops, they would have a sacrifice. And so the fact that she's saying cereal here could mean that this is a code for a sacrifice. I have your sacrifice ready. We can talk about it tonight. I mean, why?
People don't study anthropology. The Africans, the Middle Easterners, the Romans, the Asians, the Mesoamericans, they all did sacrifice around the harvest. And every culture did this at certain points before they collapsed.
Yes.
So if people have to bash Jews all day, I just call it like it is. The first culture to say we're banning human sacrifice in the written word is the Jews. But because they say we've been doing this to Moloch, killing our kids, we're going to stop. And then, of course, it comes back later when they go reprobate and God says, I'm going to curse you. So that's what that is. It is true that, the anti-Jew people get so mad and they say, we're not Judeo-Christian. Yes, the Abrahamic religion comes out of the Jews.
There it is.
And Jesus is there to reform them. But my point is not even if it's the Jews. I'm covering the facts here. Human sacrifice is the norm, not the exception. Go ahead and show it. I'm sorry, I said shut up.
Yeah, so we're looking at the translation for cereal is sacrificium and sacrificiak. So, like I said, the cereal was always part of the sacrifice. They would sacrifice children to have abundance in their crops, and the cereal and the grains were all part of the ritual as well. They would have a feast. They would have a whole ritual, and then at the end they'd kill a baby.
And back then it was also, they believed there were too many people. Even the time of Plato, the first major philosopher in the modern age, the father of the West, they say, he said, there's too many people, they're crushing the breast of Mother Earth. We need to have wars and other special things to depopulate. So this is in every culture. This is the old-time religion.
Yeah, so now that we have this investigation at Zorro Ranch where there's supposed to be bodies there, I mean, I'd like to see a bit of urgency. I mean, we've heard that the New Mexico DOJ there is actively pursuing this, but...
And here's my problem. I can't keep track of it. I remember years ago, multiple places they dug up the bodies of young women, including on Prince Andrew's property. Now that's being brought back up.
Yes, I did see that as well.
I mean, just like...
And then, we go
That's
back.
confirmed dead bodies.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy Savile, satanic temple under his house, King Charles' best friend, murdering all these children. This is all confirmed. Even though I knew about this decades ago, 30-something years ago from Ted Gunderson, I still can't believe it. Let me just stop you. What for you, because you've already super informed, great guy, do a great job. What is it like to see it being confirmed, though, and out in the open? This is a big moment. I don't think any of us, including myself, realize the moment in history we're in. This is the great reveal. This isn't going anywhere.
It just shows the arrogance. I mean, for us to be the ones that are highlighting this and going over this every day and saying they're killing kids, they're doing satanic rituals, and we don't see that on the mainstream news. Trump's not talking about it. Nobody in Trump's administration is talking about these kids. It's like the excuse that he just had a child prostitute seems to be the narrative for the whole thing. Is like, okay, this was a young promiscuous girl.
There's a limited hangout of 14-year-old girls. No, it's killing and eating people.
Yes. and it's out in the open now. So when Trump says he wants to move on and that he feels sorry for the royal family, I mean, it makes me want to throw up, honestly. And whatever love affair he has with the pageantry of the royal family, he likes the whole, ceremonious things about royalty. And so,
And what about the new photos in the emails of Prince Andrew sending emails to Epstein with like a 1.5-year-old baby, toddler, barely walks, and he's on the floor playing with it, and he give it a fake breast to suck on, and then you've got Epstein with top biologists how to play a mother's voice so a baby will suck your better. I mean, this is just... And Gunderson told me about that 30 years ago. And here it is. It's like the magnitude. And I felt evil even showing it on the Friday show. Pull up Prince Andrew and the baby and the fake breast. I mean, that's what they do. They go, here's the breast, and they,
And a lot of these
you see young women's feet, standing there, obviously with the baby, like they're bringing the baby to him.
A lot of these kids and maybe young adult models that were kidnapped were easy pickings, were vulnerable people, but a lot of what MK Ultra is to find these kind of perfect slaves, you actually bring someone in from your own family. So you traumatize someone who's close to you,
and that was declassified MK Ultra, and that was Kathy O'Brien.
So some of these kids that are getting killed and sacrificed may very well be just related to.
Oh, I think Macron, 14, recruited by the teacher. Obviously, a lot of them are actually ritual abuse victims.
Yes, a lot of the leaders themselves have been through this. So, it's tough when people say not to go after some of these people because they're victims too. At a certain point, you have to break free of the conditioning and not commit the crimes yourself and be willing to die to not perpetuate the same evil.
Well, that's right. I've been so focused on this in the last 3 weeks that I didn't instruct a crew until now. Till we get the thousands of videos of me 30 years ago, 20 years ago saying it's Satanism, it's blood drinking, here's how it works. But we need to show people that. And also when I came out 2 weeks ago and I said, listen, a lot of these so-called 14-year-old girls, they keep it there. They got Stockholm Syndrome. They collected kids. They admit they did. They say we went out and got kids. So, and then Anna Kasparian said, oh, he's attacking the victims. No, I'm explaining how pedophilic cults work. And it was Kasparian, I want to find a clip so she did it, said Pizzagate wasn't real 8 years ago, 9 years ago, attacking me. So she's saying I'm the bad guy covering up for Trump when I know all about this when she was, basically, in fifth grade.
You are the highest ranking gay public policy office holder, I believe, in the history of America. And I'll bet you there are some people watching that don't know that what I just said, because you're not a member of the Biden administration. That hasn't been the top line of your resume. You're not the first and proclaimed and celebrated because of that fact. That's been a fact in the background, unimportant to the Trump administration. I'm just curious what that says about you and the Trump administration.
Well, it's what it says about President Trump. President Trump created the cabinet, not because who you go home to at night, not because of the color of your skin, not because of your religion, not because of some background. Created it based on merit. So, like, I go to the office every day knowing that I was chosen on merit.
What's happening is they're training the AI to lie.
Yes.
It's bad.
To lie. That's exactly right. And to withhold information.
To lie and comment on some things, not comment on other things, but not to say what the data actually demands that it say.
Exactly.
Like the intention with OpenAI was obviously to do good, but it's not clear whether it's actually doing good or whether it's. I can't tell at this point, except that I'm worried about the fact that it's being trained to be politically correct, which is simply another way of being saying untruthful things.
Yes.
So that's a bad sign. There's certainly a path to AI dystopia is to train an AI to be deceptive. So yeah, I'm going to start something which I know you could call truth GBT or a maximum truth-seeking AI that tries to understand the nature of the universe. And I think this might be the best path to safety in the sense that an AI that cares about understanding the universe is unlikely to annihilate humans because we are an interesting part of the universe.
Yeah. I don't think you're melodramatic at all. I think I mean, I don't want to be melodramatic, but it's almost like a death cult.
It's a death cult. No, that is exactly right. It's essentially the extinctionists. Like, it's in the limit. It is that they're propagating the extinction of humanity and civilization. And there's some people who are like most of the time it's implicit. They don't but sometimes it's explicit. Like there was a guy on the front page of the New York Times who literally has the thing called the Extinctionist Movement, and he was quoted on the front page of the New York Times as saying, "There are 8 billion people in the world, but it would be better if there were none." Ooh. And I'm like, well, buddy, you can start with yourself.
Yeah. Does he have friends? That's what always fascinates me.
Well,
here he is.
That guy.
He looks like he's not long for this earth.
I mean, he's not
Voluntary
young.
human extinction movement. That's hilarious. I'd like to party with that dude. I would just like to
That's an explicit version of the death cult.
Yeah, maybe
the
live
extinctionist
long
cult.
and die out.
It's not. Extinction is a word he uses.
Yes.
No, I mean, it's not. It's literally a self-description.
Do they cover him
death cult
glowingly?
was in charge of social media.
Yeah.
And still largely is at Google and Facebook, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not in favor of human extinction. They are, and they can go to hell.
Well, that guy is.
Yeah, he can go to hell.
That guy seems silly. I would like to hang out with him, though. I would like to find out what makes him tick. I bet that guy is fascinating.
Well,
if you get him alone for a few days,
I'm in favor of. I'm pro-environment, but the in the limit, if you take environmentalism to an extreme, you start to view humanity as a plague on the surface of the earth, like a mold or something.
Right.
But this is actually false. The Earth could take probably 10 times the current civilization. The population you could 10x the population without destroying the rainforest. So the environmental movement, and I'm an environmentalist, has gone too far. They've gone way too far. If you start thinking that humans are bad, then the natural conclusion is humans should die out. Now, I'm headed to an international sort of AI safety conference later tonight, leaving in about 3 hours. I meet with the British Prime Minister, a number of other people. So you have to say, like, how could AI go wrong? Well, if AI gets programmed by the extinctionists, its utility function will be the extinction of humanity.
Why don't you want to talk to the journalist, man?
Okay, you know what? Jeffrey is innocent.
Jeffrey's innocent? Then
Yes.
why does he... How long have you known Jeffrey?
10 years.
You've known him for 10 years?
Yes.
And there's never been anything you never saw anything suspicious?
No.
Never nothing?
Never nothing. And how do you know Jeffrey? He's actually helped me go to college.
He helped you go to college? What did you do? What did you do?
What did you do with him that he helped you go to college?
What did you
Nothing.
want?
That's just who he is.
Just out of the goodness of his heart? You didn't
Yes.
have to do anything back?
No.
That's kind of strange, don't you think?
You know what? Jeffrey is germophobic.
Oh, is he? So is that why he sleeps with underage girls?
He doesn't sleep with them.
Oh, no, are you sure? Is that why he tells you to give them massages and all the rest of it?
He's never done
On the
that.
island with Bill Clinton?
Were you there?
With Bill Clinton? Is that why?
I'm sorry, but were you there to see that for yourself?
The flight logs show it.
I'm sorry, were you there to see that?
The flight logs showed that Bill Clinton was there and he's taken a bunch of trips to Epstein Island, Orgy Island. What about it?
I'm sorry.
Ways in different parts of our
I pay
country.
carbon tax on the electricity and the equipment and the fertilizer that I use to run my farm. And you say that's imaginary?
I would love to see how you're breaking that down, but what I am telling you...
With real dollars.
Gang, what's up? Aaron here, Canadian Looney. Smash that like, hit subscribe. Let's get straight into the absurdity of Canadian federal politics. This video is outrageous. Let's kick it off.
Thank you, Minister, for finally appearing. I see that you're found time to be at the Finance Committee on October 20th, but took your time to get here. Minister, the recent MOU signed with Alberta suggested the immediate suspension of the clean electricity regulations. It wasn't in the Gazette this weekend. When will it come into effect?
Okay, so the clean electricity regulations are in effect now, but only begin applying in 2035. They were intentionally given as a long tail for all provinces and territories to be able to work towards
2035?
them. Yeah, if you look at the way the regulation is drafted, in 2035, that is when they begin to apply.
When will it be published?
So what I'm saying is, in the Memorandum of Understanding, the wording is that I have with the province of Alberta, or we have with the province of Alberta until April 1st to negotiate an agreement where they can show that they have a pathway to meet the objectives of the regulation.
Okay, so all of this is still under heavy negotiation?
It's right in, I can read you the exact wording of the agreement.
So we should presume no elements of this MOU will survive or could survive, or everything is up for negotiation?
what I would tell you is that with all provinces, I have the ability to negotiate a pathway to meet the objectives of a regulation. And I think it's a really amazing thing that Alberta is going to sit down and do that negotiation.
So you suggested earlier in your opening remarks that there was a climate cost of food, yet the industrial carbon tax is still applied to fertilizer production, grain drying, farm equipment, and you've made great speeches in the House to the effect that this is not a tax, has no impact on food prices. Isn't that an oxymoron? I mean, like that's ridiculous. You say there's a cost of food for all these other things, but yet you're taxing the means of production of food, and it doesn't impact the price at the grocery store. Can you explain that, please?
Yeah, I mean, I can even provide the studies to this committee if you want. Absolutely. There are studies time and time again, in fact, that say that the industrial carbon price does not increase the cost of food.
So then what does it impact? Is it just impact the viability of farms, and so farms get smaller?
No, it does. It's actually
so farms consolidate to bigger farms.
Small farms aren't impacted by the industrial carbon price.
They're not impacted by it. Also, the carbon taxes that I'm paying as a producer are what, imaginary?
The industrial carbon price applies to large industry. It applies in different ways in different parts of our country. I pay carbon tax on the electricity and the equipment and the fertilizer that I use to run my farm. And you say that's imaginary? I would love to see how you're breaking that down, but what I am telling you...
With real dollars.
You wouldn't have a line, sir, that says anywhere industrial carbon price.
Because it's hidden, yeah, but the price has gone up on everything.
It's not hidden. It's not that. I'm just saying I don't see where you're seeing it.
Minister, to the next question, are you constitutionally impaired from saying the word oil pipeline?
That's actually a very funny question. Does it matter to you if what words I use?
I appreciate the hilarity of it. You know, you said that there was a lot of discussion about the pipeline, but pipeline is a binary thing. It's either we build a pipeline or we don't. There's no middle ground. Do you support a pipeline?
I support our provinces working together if they want to work together. No, but that is what the Memorandum of Understanding with Alberta is about.
Ultimately, it leads to a pipeline or no pipeline, one or the other. Do you support a pipeline?
I support that if the provinces and the Indigenous peoples are in agreement, that then there is a pathway to actually make that happen. But I am not going for a pipeline. But
Thank
what
you
I'm
very
saying,
much,
but I think it's really important. I would not override Indigenous peoples' agreement, and I would not override the province of British Columbia, which is what the Conservatives say they would do.
So the province of British Columbia has a veto?
The Prime Minister has been clear.
The Prime Minister has sole responsibility under the Constitution and C5.
You are repeating again the Conservative line that you would override the provinces and Indigenous people.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. There's a lot of interrupting. I think it would be nice to give ample time to respond to questions.
Appreciate the point.
As I said, the Prime Minister has been clear, and he said it in the House of Commons, that there needs to be agreement from the province of British Columbia and of Indigenous peoples, and we're not going to override the jurisdiction of our provinces, and we're not going to override the rights of Indigenous rights holders.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I don't know what to say, gang. Canadian politics are absurd. Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
I'll quote, "This isn't the Wild West, it's Canada." Around the same time that you tweeted out this tone-deaf statement, in Hamilton alone, more than 80 shots rang out. If these and thousands of other crime stories that are happening around this country on a weekly basis aren't indicative of the Wild West, what would meet your definition, sir? Oh, yeah. Minister, since your government took office in 2015, crime in this country has been spiraling out of control. Violent crime up 55%, homicides up 30%, sex assaults up 76%, gun crime up 130%, and extortion, shockingly, up 330%. And yet, over the last 570 days, your government has only introduced 2 justice bills. C63 and C9, neither of which do anything to address the revolving door for violent repeat offenders. Why, Minister, after a year and a half, is your first legislative priority a bill that restricts free speech instead of protecting Canadians from violent repeat offenders?
Mr. Chair, with enormous respect to my colleague, I view the question to diminish the importance of the legislation that we're here to discuss today. Treating hate crimes as something less than urgent when members of affected communities are experiencing painful realities as a result of the hate that is lobbied upon them is not, in my view, the appropriate way to engage in this conversation. For the members' information, as we've discussed privately, we expect this fall, granted I've been in this position for a matter of a few months, most of which the House wasn't sitting, but this fall we have tabled the legislation we're here to discuss today. Within a matter of weeks, we will have one of the most comprehensive sets of reforms when it comes to the bail system and tougher sentences that our country has seen in many years, and a third bill before Christmas regarding intimate partner violence, sexual offences, and the role of victims in the process.
I'm taking back my time.
Mr. Brock, I understand that the minister should be succinct in his answers, but just let him finish his thought.
Yes, I'm taking a look at the time it took me to pose the question, sir, and I've given him actually an extra 10 seconds to respond.
Go ahead.
Do I have my time?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Minister, in 2015, there were 382,000 incidents of violent crime. In 2024, there were almost 592,000. That's a 55% increase. Any way you slice it, Minister, is an objective fact that crime is worse now than it was in 2015. Are you willing to accept reality, or are you going to choose to remain oblivious to what's happening in this country?
Look, I can recognize that crime and violent crime is a problem in Canada. That's why we are moving forward with an ambitious legislative agenda that's going to toughen the criminal justice system. But it's important that we realize that there are additional solutions. In addition to our changes to the bail and sentencing regime that you'll see in a matter of weeks, you're also going to see investments in the front line with 1,000 new RCMP officers, 1,000 new border officials, and more prosecutors. But we also have a view of the long-term need to prevent crime by making investments upstream that will tackle opportunities to pull at-risk youth out of the system, to invest in supportive housing, and to deal with mental health and addictions. But I think it's clear that we need to take action to toughen Canada's criminal laws to punish people who commit serious crimes.
Minister. Oh, yeah. Conservatives have introduced nearly 20 justice and public safety bills this Parliament alone on bail reform, sex assault, intimate partner violence, and organized crime, amongst others, while your government has tabled just 2. Are you going to support any private member bills introduced by the Conservative Party?
We don't have a blanket rule on supporting or rejecting bills based on the source of those proposed legal changes. We instead consider independently each of the measures that are brought forward by members, regardless of which party they may come from. I've had productive conversations, not only with you as my critic, Mr. Brock, with our colleague, Mr. Caputo, as well, and I'm willing to work in good faith. If there are certain challenges that cause us to believe that the proposed reforms will not make communities safe or would be blatantly unconstitutional,
Thank you, Minister.
I will have challenges.
Thank you, Minister. Will you commit today to repealing the principle of restraint under Section 493.1 of the Criminal Code to stop repeat violent offenders from being released back onto our streets, yes or no?
You should expect to see changes to the way the principle of restraint is codified in the criminal code. I would point out that a repeal of the principle is not necessarily the appropriate language, given that the principle of restraint is recognized in common law and upheld by the Supreme Court of Canada.
So I'll take that as a no.
Thank you, Minister. And we will be making changes.
Thank you, Minister. Last month, in response to the Conservative announcement of the Stand on Guard policy, you tweeted out, quote, "This isn't the Wild West, it's Canada." Around the same time that you tweeted out this tone-deaf statement, in Hamilton alone, more than 80 shots rang out at bars after they were closing, leaving 3 injured. In Toronto, a 19-year-old was shot and killed in a mall bathroom. 2 17-year-olds were charged. In Ottawa, a Jewish woman in her 70s was stabbed and sent to hospital just for being Jewish. In Calling Lake, Alberta, a man wanted on a Canada-wide arrest warrant was charged in a violent home invasion where the homeowner was shot and killed. If these and thousands of other crime stories that are happening around this country on a weekly basis aren't indicative of the Wild West, what would meet your definition, sir?
This is an important conversation. Canadians should know that they have the right to defend themselves under the law in their homes if they are faced with such circumstances as you've described. And they have the ability to use when necessary. Jurisdictions that have adopted the proposal that you've suggested have not become more safe.
In Canadian federal
created new
politics, the
dangers.
Canucks
Just a
are
few weeks ago in
represented by
Texas,
two separate yet unequal groups. The globalists who sold out and the opposition trying to salvage a country. These are their stories.